groovy people! Welcome to the channel. This is the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, and last week I was talking about working on a fashion book submission for the Aradia Collective's Magical Girl, Magical Boy, Magical Person fashion book that they've been working on with members of the collective. And I said that I would show another video with a different costume or a different outfit that Kana was wearing. So in this video, I'm working on this absolutely hideous 90s dress that Kana is wearing for her quote-unquote fancy outfit as opposed to her casual outfit. Now, last week I said that I had, I guess, forgotten to record doing like the paper doll like bass part, but in actuality, God, this just goes to show I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what I do half the time. I just kind of do it and go on like autopilot. But apparently, like, I didn't start the beginning of coloring this dress, which I'm trying to make it look like a shiny gold, and I have a tutorial that I'd saved years ago from DeviantArt that I'm looking at to kind of influence making this look a little bit like shiny gold. I don't know that I achieved that effect, but it's closer than if I'd done it on my own. So if I can find the artist who did that, they might have their tag on the thing that I saved, so I will share it down in the link below. But as usual, Blue Dragon is full of misinformation. I actually did record coloring the base of Kana because I started coloring the top of the dress before I even colored the base, apparently. I'm a disorganized mess, but hey, I got to the end goal. I got to the final place, so I guess it really doesn't matter what order in which you do things, as long as you get them done. But in the middle of this video, I'm just gonna like be stopping coloring the dress and just start coloring like the base for this. So you'll see that I'm all over the place, and I thought about like cutting it up and like, you know, bringing the base to the beginning of this video, but no, I try to be as stupidly honest as possible. Obviously there's things that I omit and, you know, things that I don't talk about on this channel, but you can see how stupid I am right here. But anyway, it worked, so really it's not that stupid, is it, if it worked? Anyway, moving right along, I got a nice tall glass of water here today. Usually I like to have some coffee or something to drink. It's Sunday morning. My partner is making some espresso for us, so that'll be nice. Espresso. I used to say espresso. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. So I want to talk a little bit more about why I chose this absolutely hideous dress. Oh my god, this was so much fun to do, but I picked this dress because with this fashion zine, and with anything with your characters, you know, what they choose to wear, how they choose to dress, or how they dress, says a lot about a person's personality. And something that I really wanted to make evident, like I've already touched upon it a little bit within the comic, but we know that Kana, her family, is fairly conservative. Kana comes from a Catholic upbringing. Her parents are Catholic. She's Catholic. And I'm not saying that everyone who's Catholic is a little bit behind the curb, or I'm not saying that people who are Catholic don't know anything about fashion or they all dress conservatively like this. I am saying that regarding this specific family, you know, her father was in the military, her mother dresses very conservatively, usually has, you know, she'll wear jeans and stuff, her mom will, but she usually has all of her boobage covered, no cleavage, and the same is expected of Kana, which is why when we see even like Kana in her casual dress, she usually is dressed, like, occasionally she'll have like a t-shirt and jeans and stuff. That's fine. Her parents don't care if she dresses like that. But usually she's wearing a skirt or a dress and something that's covering her, you know, her top part. So this dress here is what I remember of the early 90s, like seeing shit like this, where the dresses just like come up high, and like this specific dress that I was looking at didn't have like the shoulder pads, which is definitely a little bit more 80s, more early 90s. But I picked this dress because it, to me, embodies that visual of you're trying to look fancy, but also you're covering everything so you don't look inappropriate. And I've actually seen, like, when I was younger, I had seen human beings wearing dresses similar to this at like Christmas, programs and shit like that at our school, like where everybody gets a fancy dress. You'd see the parents in the audience wearing shit like this, because I come from a small town, and there's a lot of conservative people there and there's also a lot of people who would have their tits hanging out. But at any rate, when I saw this dress, I was like, this is the dress. So what's going on is, this specific dress isn't a dress that Kana herself would have picked out. Kana, we don't really get to see a lot of what her personal taste would be, because Kana is very much, her parents have a lot of influence over what she wears and what she does, and they're even very critical of her being friends with Rina, because obviously Rina is way more of a free spirit than Kana is. But Kana herself wouldn't pick something like this. It's very old-fashioned. It looks like something an adult would wear. But I chose this specifically because this is probably something that her mother would have chosen for herself, and therefore this is the quote-unquote fancy dress that Kana is wearing. So that's why it looks so silly and so 90s, super 90s. So, I'm not the best artist, but I am gonna try to, you can watch what I'm doing, but I wanna, say, regarding, the technique that I use here, I've never really done something shiny and gold like this, so what I was looking at was that tutorial. The gold is, on a sphere, so I was trying to sample the colors that they had set aside. They do have a color key, and first, what I did was I used, a soft brush. I put down the base color first, actually, which you can see that in the skirt, because I put that base color down in the skirt. And then I started adding, the shadows with a soft brush, a very, not hard edge, but soft edge brush. And I put down, the shading, and then I would move on to, the highlights. And then what I ended up doing, because it is kind of a shiny metallic material, I started with that soft edge, but being a slick material like this type of dress is, I went in with the smudge tool and I tried to smudge things so that it would have a sharper edge. It still had a little bit of a soft edge, but mostly smoothed out so that it looked more like a shiny metallic material. That's kind of the technique that I used. It's obviously not the best, but I think that I got the point across, and I think it looks okay considering it's my first time doing, a metallic looking dress, and I didn't use any filters on this. I just fucking did it myself using a mouse. So I think it turned out pretty good, and you can tell, at least in my opinion, what kind of material the dress is. Not much more to say about it, other than, I also made sure that the dress fit. I had mentioned in last week's video that because I'd printed off from Photoshop the base, when I traced over this printed off version of the base instead of the actual ink, which I probably should have just traced off the inking job that I'd done. But whereas it fit perfectly on that printed, slightly scaled down version of this image, it was a little bit, trying to match it up to the actual size of the base from the original. I had to scale up and do a little bit of work with erasing things from the dress so that you could see her hands and her hair and stuff like that. So there was a little bit of work that had to be done. It wasn't perfect. So this isn't actually technically a paper doll thing. I would have to figure out a way of actually making a paper doll with a dress that you would just, I don't know how you do that with the tabs and everything. I've been thinking about it since last week, but it's something that I'm in the process of working on, so I'll get around to that eventually. But yeah, you can see that I had to do a little bit because her feet didn't quite match up. She's got pantyhose on and high heels, something that Kana never wears are high heels. She won't, if she could get away with wearing platforms, she might do that, but she usually likes flat shoes. She does not like to walk around in heels. But this is a fancy dress, and therefore, I put her in heels. So yeah, there's not really much more I have to say about this, so I'm not gonna talk your ear off this week. You see what's going on, you get the picture. If you have any questions, or if you want to know my references, like I said, I'm gonna see if I can find the artist. I'm pretty sure I got the tutorial from DeviantArt, but this was years ago. I just saved it on my computer so that I would have something to look at. So I'm gonna see if I can dig around and find who that is. Otherwise, I'm sure you can Google making gold, metallic tutorials for Photoshop, and I'm sure you can figure it out from there. And that's it. Thank you for watching. See y'all next week. Peace and love. Fare you well, and keep on trucking.